Lagi ready pecandu.
Lagi. Jadi gue pagi ini enak ya, enak. Bangun pagi, gue biasa bangun pagi gitu, gue nggak tahu. Kalau clean bangunnya pagi. Nah tujuan hidup gue hari ini clean up gitu kan. Ya mungkin apa yang saya clean up lah. Semua ada dong gue.
Hello, I'm Hannah, I'm an addict. I went to a rehab like this about a year and a half ago, and so I know how hard it is. It's a really, really hard thing to do, and I think you're all very, very brave to be here.
Thankfully, I didn't come to Indonesia for treatment, and I'm not here to interview this group of recovering addicts. I'm here to buy a pair of shoes. I'm at a drug treatment center called YAKITA in Bogor, an area about 60 kilometers outside Jakarta. Indonesia experienced the beginnings of an unprecedented drug epidemic in the 1980s, sparked in part by rapid economic growth and the increasing availability of new drugs. Indonesia found itself facing a crisis it had no idea how to handle. A couple, David and Joyce, founded the center in 1999 in response to the growing problem.
The drug of choice that really kicked it off was ecstasy, in the 80s, in the early 80s, because it became the love drug, and it was in the discotheques, it was in the nightlife, and from there, it immediately jumped to heroin. And then in the late 90s is when shabu-shabu, methamphetamine, began to surface.
In the past decade, shabu-shabu has overtaken heroin as Indonesia's drug of choice, with meth labs popping up all over the country, making it cheap and easy to access.
There was no recovery in the country. Hospitalization was unheard of, rehabilitation was unheard of, so it was too big. I mean, where do you start when nothing has been started?
While YAKITA is a center for men, they also run a program for female addicts and partners of addicts, focused on providing support, skills, and income. These women design and produce sandals called junkies. I love the name and I really want a pair, so we go to the workshop where the junkies are produced.
We were just thinking about what we could do in a sense of what they call vocational training, what we call trying to get some jobs for young people.
Deanne showed me around the workshop.
Untuk pembuatan sandal kita kan melibatkan dampingan ya. Kita manggil guru untuk ngajarin mereka untuk belajar mola, terus untuk belajar jahit, dan untuk kalau untuk yang ini kan desain awal ya.
As none of the women had made shoes before, their initial designs were simple slip-on sandals, thongs, ballet flats, and some bracelets. While Joyce oversees the project, the women design and assemble the shoes themselves and have the final say about what becomes a junkie shoe and what doesn't.
So how do you guys know each other? Is it through meetings or the center or just through here?
From this place.
Okay. Are you guys friends?
Yeah, we are best friends.
Best friends?
BFF.
BFF? You too?
Yeah. After we work gitu, terus kita hang out gitu kan.
Do you do lots of shopping?
Of course, girls like shopping. I'm addict of shopping.
That's your new addiction, is it?
Yeah.
I find it really, really funny that they're called junkies.
Yeah.
Like, what do you guys think about that?
Sebenarnya awalnya nggak suka, tapi ternyata ada maknanya gitu.
So you can kind of see the humor in it now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jadi can make this thing.
Yeah.
Productive too.
We chose that name together because we felt, in the past, addiction, junkies is a negative part of you, but how do you change that into something that's empowering? So changing the connotation of the word junkies into something that's positive.
Ada yang pecandu, ada yang pasangan pecandu.
So you're an
I'm
addict?
addict.
Yep. Can I ask what your drug of choice was?
Putau, heroin.
Yep.
Dari 14 tahun ya.
Deanne explains that she grew up in a broken home. She left when she was 14 and began selling heroin for her brother, becoming addicted in the process.
Did you ever get busted when you were helping them deal drugs?
Apa waktu SMP di Kebon Siri, maksudnya di tempat kos-kosan. Terus digerebek gitu. Di dalam 3 hari kabur dari sel.
That's pretty ballsy. Wow. In Indonesia, sabu is kind of taking over, you know, as the big drug.
Iya benar ya.
Kan ke sabu. Karena memang udah tiap hari bandarnya nganter.
Home delivery.
Home delivery.
That's convenient.
Terus nyari-nyari. Kehilangan suami, jadi untuk kehilangan apa sih? Karena mungkin udah ngedrop, sambung lagi, ngedrop, sambung lagi. Jarang ya dibilang tidur tuh mungkin bisa ke itu sampai badan habis.
A lot of women at the center have lost their spouses to drugs, including Novi, who was addicted to heroin for the past 16 years.
And like, you know, do you just buy it off the street or
I get from my husband.
from your husband?
Yeah, my husband who knows the dealers. I don't know.
Your husband was a heroin addict too?
Yeah, but he passed away last year,
Oh,
so I decided to stop.
okay. Sorry to hear that.
We began to think also in terms of how to keep the women coming and not to be dependent on their spouses who are still addicts, and how can they generate a little income, a certain type of livelihood for them to continue coming to the center, so they are able to have some money to actually pay for the bus to come over, have some money for their daughters to go to school. So that was how it started.
So did you struggle with relapsing initially?
Takut ya, stres dan takut jatuh lagi pertama kan.
Sekarang tinggal apa? Sebiasa sih masih ada. Tapi untuk berusaha gimana caranya harus benar-benar.
We still meet older like partner in crime, like still meet them, but
Yeah.
just say hi, how are you?
Yeah.
Dengan kegiatan seperti ini sendiri aja ngelamun apa gitu. Makanya sekarang berusaha untuk cari kesibukan.
It's not like being in a factory where you're, timed by whatever it is you create, but actually just by making the sandals together and sharing your life stories, it becomes so fluid, and everybody gets to know one another. It's empowering for everyone.
And so are you practicing Muslims, and with your drug use in the past, how have the two things kind of sat together? Has that been really difficult?
Kalau dulu ya,
dulu.
memakai nggak kepikiran bisa lupa.
Tapi waktu make juga, jadi disuruh sholat ya, gue sholat tapi sambil cucau gitu.
Oh, wow. Did you have a hard time finding veins?
Nggak gampang.
Yeah.
Tapi gue pernah di kaki gara-gara takut ketahuan di sini gitu.
So you were injecting in your feet? Yeah.
Sampai lumpuh 3 bulan pakai kursi roda.
And I mean, did you overdose?
Nah, Udi.
Iya. Tapi teman gue berdua kan teman gue meninggal. Sampai kejut jantung.
Yeah.
Have a lot of people in your life died?
Banyak. Hampir 100 my friend.
100.
Die.
Ya. Yang bikin betik. Karena apa ya? Gue udah positif gitu.
A lot of the young people that are with us that have HIV and they have AIDS, and they have tuberculosis, and they don't have any way to pay for medicine. And we thought this would be a really good way to generate jobs where a bunch of the young people could actually be there and make these sandals and then we would be able to sell them.
Would you guys like to model some of the shoes?
Ini santai ya buat di kamar. Karena lebih cenderung tropis kan, panas, jadi dia nyerap keringat.
What about the black ones?
Sejarah yang hitam kan?
Yang ini,
Yes.
dia berangkat dari penari balet ya, terus sama kungfu, jadi wow.
I have big feet.
Yeah, big fit.
Shoe sizes run small in Indonesia, but the women eventually found a pair that fit me, made from a local batik.
Yeah, they're nice.
Okay.
Hey!
Deanne glued the label onto my very own pair of junkies.
If they were not addicts, they would not end up in these programs and learn so much about life and living and getting a family that really cares about them. And that's what's important for them.